Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So we're looking at what's going on with the Pixel staking pool. So this went live last week, still sort of in some early stages. So that we know there's going to be a new token called vPixels. Won't go into all that now. That's coming in June. So this is sort of the early days of the sort of Pixel ecosystem staking system. A lot of systems there. Pretty simple at the moment. So there are 3 games that use the Pixel token. Obviously, one of them is Pixels. One of them is Pixel Dungeons. Those 2 have been live for a while. And now Forgotten Runiverse is one that's also, I don't think it's live yet, but sort of coming. They're doing some, they've got a current campaign where you can sort of exchange some of your in-game XP for Pixel token. But this is something a little bit different. So this is staking. So normally in staking, we take some tokens and we stake them and we get some reward. Sort of, you can think of it as interest, like an interest rate. Sometimes it's dynamic. Sometimes, obviously depends on, in this case, sort of where the sort of rewards are coming from. So in the case of Pixels and the Pixel ecosystem, there's sort of a fixed system at the moment where 28 million Pixel tokens are 28 million are given out every month. And so they're now going to be using that in this staking mechanic. And at the moment it's split sort of in a fixed manner. So I can't remember, Pixels gets 20 million, and then the other 8 are distributed between Forgotten Runiverse and Pixel Dungeon. Can't remember the exact details. And obviously, if you had, say, 1% of the staked Pixel tokens in Pixels, you get 1% of the 20 million, so 200,000 pixels every month. So that's sort of the idea. Now, the sort of future idea is more games will come into this, and the more pixel that is staked, so the total staking here, that will start to influence how much of the 28 million pixel tokens every month is distributed to these games. So if suddenly Forgotten Runiverse has 50% of the total stake pixel here, it would get 50% of the rewards. That's going to happen over time. It's a sort of sliding scale thing going on, but that's the idea. And then other games can come in here. Don't have to be Ronin games. They can be other games that just sort of pass muster. And this idea is this sort of becomes a dynamic staking sort of system, and also discovery. So maybe people didn't know Pixel Dungeon was there, and now people might go and play Pixel Dungeon. And obviously, if you really like Pixel Dungeon, you'll stake all your pixel in Pixel Dungeon, or if they have the best returns, you might go and start playing Pixel Dungeon. So there's a bit of that sort of scenario going on there as well. There's other stuff going on, but we won't go into that for the time being. So this is sort of pretty basic. So we've got the total amount of pixels staked. So 57 million pixels have been staked. This is the rewards. So far, I guess. This is the number of games, obviously you can see that 3, and this is how many wallets are staking. So 3,289 wallets are staking. And we can see where the most stake is. So most stake here is Pixels, 51 million, but just under 2 million and 1.8 for Forgotten Runiverse, and 3.5 for Pixel Dungeons. All active. Here are the buttons to do if you have Pixel that you want to stake. So these APRs are a little bit off at the moment. So the Pixel one seems about right, 41%. So if you staked 100 pixels, by the end of the year you get 41 back as rewards. These ones are a little bit off because we're in a sort of setup situation and they haven't started giving rewards out yet. So I think that's sort of the key thing. So I can go to my stakes here. So I haven't got very much staked. You can see 700 pixels staked, so that's about $25, under $25. Claim pixels 0, available pixels 0. So that's what's showing here. We can see here I've got 50 staked in Pixels, 50 staked in Forgotten Runiverse, and actually 600 now staked in Pixel Dungeon. I've just increased that. And there's good reason for that, partly because this is showing the biggest APR. It's not. This number is wrong, but the one reason is Pixel Dungeons is giving its pixel on a weekly basis for some reason. So that's sort of the fastest way to get your return. In terms of claiming, this is sort of interesting. It's saying 0 claimed, but if I go here to this button, I don't know if it will change over time, but we can see here's a claim button. So I click here, and it says Pixels. The claiming the total reward will send the tokens directly to my wallet. Okay, so I've had basically for less than a week, I've had 50 tokens in the Pixel staked, and my reward is effectively 0.5. So within sort of less than a week, I've got sort of 10%, 10%. So that sort of shows at the moment in these early stages you can get some quite high returns. So if I want to, I can claim that. Forgotten Runeverse is showing zero to be claimed, because I think they're on a different time scale, and they're not really live yet, I don't think either. So that's probably why. And then interesting one here, Pixel Dungeon. So when I originally did this last week, I had 50 pixel tokens staked in pixels, and I also had 50 staked in Pixel Dungeons, and we can see the difference there. So there's a factor of 20 difference in terms of the reward I've got in the same period of time, which is why I've come back and put a bit more, put another $20 into Pixel Dungeons. So obviously I could claim this. So it's still not an enormous amount of money. So a pixel is about 2 cents at the moment. So this is like 25 cents. A quarter of a dollar, but that's happened in a week. So sort of interesting. Obviously, one of the reasons they've done this is to get people to buy the Pixel token, because the token price, everyone's just been selling it, so they want people to start buying it. But obviously, when you start getting Pixel claimed like this, people are going to be maybe start selling it off again. So they have to be a little bit careful that a staking system like this doesn't actually keep the price going down. One of the things they're going to do here is they're going to have this V token, which is coming out in June, and at that point, if you're claiming your reward in terms of this sort of claim process, there's going to be a fee that they're calling a farming fee. It could be anything from 5 to 49%, and that depends on your status in the games you're playing. So that's sort of an interesting thing that for this month or for the next 3 weeks, that system's not coming in, I don't think. But when the VPixel token comes in, then you have to be a bit careful, because if you're not playing the game and you want to claim it, you're going to be losing half of it. Effectively, so that's an interesting mechanic where they're sort of locking people into the game system. It's almost like forcing. If you want to stake a lot because there's good rewards, you have to play the game to a high level, and so you that's always been the problem. How do you force people to be committed to a game to get the rewards? And this is sort of an interesting approach to doing it. So we'll see what happens on that. But I think it's sort of interesting, and certainly they're very ambitious for what they want to do and stick loads of games in there. And we've not really seen anyone do this, certainly on a ecosystem level. We've seen people sort of do it maybe on the individual games to some degree. This is using app tokens. I won't go into all the app token stuff, but app tokens is really interesting. It gives you a lot more control over how you allow people to use tokens, and V token is the first version of an app token, or the first token to be used using the app token protocol, and that gives the developer, in this case Pixels, the control to stop to sort of enforce this farming fee. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously not investment advice, but really cool technology, I think, and a lot more videos about this in future. So do subscribe, don't miss out. See you next time.